how can I find the value, the number of exponent expressions? So let's look at an exponent expression to see what we're talking about. This right here is an exponent expression. Why is it an exponent expression? Well, it's got two exponents, right? They're kind of added up together. So this is saying 5 to the third, or 5 cubed, plus 1 to the third, or 1 cubed. So we need to figure out what this is first. It's 5 to the third. Well, what does that equal to? Right? What is the value of that? And then we need to add it to 1 to the third. And that's exactly the kind of steps that we're going to take. So we're first going to say, well, what is 5 to the third equal to? Well, let's see. Let's just get a quick arrow here, just so that we know where we're going. We're going to take this 5 to the third. Let's expand it out. 5 times 5 times 5. And again, our base is 5, and the number of times we're going to multiply it by itself, well, that's 3. So we get 1, 2, and 3. 5 times 5 times 5. And then what do we have to do? Well, we've got this addition here, so we got to add. We got to add it to, you got it, 1 cubed. 1 to the third. So plus 1 times 1 times 1. All right, so we've expanded this out. We've got a really, better idea of what we're talking about. All we got to do is we got to say, well, what's 5 times 5 times 5? Well, let's do it out. We've got 5 times 5. That's going to be 25. And then we've got this times 5. We've got times 5, so we're going to bring this 5. Well, you can bring it down, but you can also bring it up. 25 times 5. Well, that's going to equal 125. So that means that this whole thing, 5 times 5 times 5, that's going to be equal to 125. All right. Now, we know we need to add 125 plus, and what are we doing? We'll say 1 times 1 is 1. And let's add it. 1 times 1 is 1. Times 1. And then 1 times 1 again. Well, that's 1. So 125 plus 1 is going to be equal to 126. And all this stuff up here is scratch work, but our answer is going to be 126. And why is that true? Well, we got 5 cubed. 5 times 5 times 5. We found that was equal to 125. And then we added it to 1 times 1 times 1, which is just equal to 1. And you'll notice that if you could just do 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, you would get 1. 1 times itself as many times as you want. That's going to be equal to 1. So we got 5 to the third, 125. 1 to the third, that's going to be 1. And we added them up, right, because we're adding. And we got 126. The whole thing is going to be equal to 126. Let's do another example. Another example. So 4 squared, well, we know what that's going to be. And I'm going to stop doing these arrows because you guys can start to see. 4 squared, that's what I'm talking about. So let's do 4 times 4, okay? Well, I've got 4 times 4, and then I'm going to subtract minus 2 squared. Well, that's going to be 2 times 2. Well, now I've got to figure out what's 4 times 4. 4 times 4? 16. So this is going to be just 16. And then I'm going to have to subtract from it, right? I'm going to have to subtract 16 minus 2 times 2, well, that's 4. 16 minus 4, that's going to be equal to 12. So this whole thing, 4 squared minus 2 squared, that's going to be equal to 12. Let's try one more example. Our first one had addition. Our second one had subtraction. Let's try one with multiplication. So now let's get it. We get 2 squared. Well, we know that from up here. That's got to be 2 times 2. 2 times 2. 2 times itself 2 times. And then we got our symbol here, our operation. Well, that's going to be times, right? Because it's times right here. Nothing changes there. Minus to minus. Plus to plus. It's got to be times to times. So then we got another 2 squared over here. So we got to say 2 times 2. Now, look at us. We could say 2 times 2. Well, that's going to be 4. And then drop our times, drop our 2, drop our times, drop our 2. So we got 4 times 2 times 2. Okay. Well, 4 times 2, that's easily going to be 8. And then we drop our times, drop our 2. 8 times 2, well, that's going to be 16. 16. So we just took all of these 2's together and we said, hey, I'm going to just group them. 2 times 2 is 4, drop everything. 4 times 2 is 8, drop everything else. And 8 times 2 is 16. So we just took this long string of 2's and kind of broke it down for ourselves. So we know that 2 squared times 2 squared is equal to 16. I'll make that equal sound a little bit better. Bonus points if you also figure out that 2 squared times 2 squared is actually equal to 2 to the 4th. 2 to the 4th because we've got 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So 2 squared times 2 squared is equal to 2 to the 4th. And in fact, for any of these numbers, if we're multiplying, we can just add the exponents together to get the new power. However, that's going to be the subject of another video.